G'day and welcome to another edition of the Sage to Dusty page. So today, on my second attempt at this video, we're going to do the review and thoughts on U2 The Final Enemy by David Brownie with Don Turnbull. It's an adventure for characters levels 3 to 5, and it's the U3 is the final series module in the Salt Marsh campaign. So, only ever played this once, TPK. So, this is a very, very difficult module, and it even says so as we go through it. But come out in 1983. It's a bit heavier in page count than the first two. I think it's got like 45 or 50, 48 pages. So yeah, it has, but lovely bit of cover art with the Shargan trying to net a PC and another one arising out of the water, and that's one of the things that makes this module very, very deadly, is water and underwater combat. So we'll just have a quick look at the inside of the cover. So you've got level 1, level 2, level 3, and you can see that these two levels are submerged, or partially. That one might have an air room in the middle. So you've got a wonderful bit of art there of the ship's crew that might take you to the old Lizardman's lair or the Shargan's lair. So again, we've got a bit more art here. We've got a wizard fighting off some Shargan. 1983, straight out of the UK, which I think personally was some of the best modules ever produced, were the ones out of the United Kingdom. So what do you get? Well, you get a synopsis of U1 and U2, how we got to the adventure hook of U3. And here's a special note. The DM must recognise from the outset that this is a very dangerous module for characters. Playtesting has shown the mission can be accomplished by a courageous, thoughtful party whose members have planned their incursion into the fortress carefully. Equally, playtesting has demonstrated careless characters who fail to plan ahead can quickly land their characters in serious trouble, i.e. they die. So, going into this, the party can actually accumulate a number of allies going into this adventure, which can be a squad of lizard men if they haven't slaughtered them in danger of Dunman's water. And it can be a contingent of Marines from Salt Marsh. Can be Oceanus, and it might be a pseudo dragon. But here we've got a nice picture of a seaside town of Salt Marsh. It basically, after the discovery of the real enemy, the town of Salt Marsh want to act, and they employ the characters to go and do a reconnaissance mission, basically, is what the go is. How do we get there? Well, you can either go overland or by boat. And then, yes, and the module actually takes in the contingency that you slaughtered the lizard men. So what happens if there are no lizard men to help you? And that is a contingent of mermen arrive. And will provide some magical scrolls and so forth to the party. And there's the reconnaissance party there, as I've alluded to. Oceanus, a pseudo-dragon, 6 Marines, and up to 14 lizardmen. So you get a journey to the fortress and back. If you go by sea, you can have some random encounters with some sea creatures. If you go by land, in the marshlands you get encounters with marshland creatures, including and up to a black dragon, which, you know, the module is already hard enough without having to you know, hack your way through a wilderness adventure. So, but here's a picture of some marshland, and yeah, it looks quite intimidating. So you travel to the Shargan and their fortress. It's basically on an island. It was the old lizard man lair. So if the lizard men are with you, you've already got somewhat of an idea of what the lair looked like. But it's been several months since the lizard men have been driven out, and the Shargan have not been idle and have done things. So what they did is they captured a heap of slaves, mined out a heap of material, then prayed to their goddess and actually lowered the levels of the island and submerged the bottom two levels, which presents some real challenges for the party. So go through the standard features, corridors, door thicknesses, all those sorts of things, light, and underwater combat, which is a lot harder. And you know, we were never particularly very good at it or did a lot of it. Yes, but if you've picked up a few of the treasures along the way in U1 and U2, your party might actually be reasonably well equipped to have a go. You go into the fortress up into level 1, the causeway and the north entrance, and this is where all the mining and all the stuff was taken out. Now, given if you've got the lizard men with you, they'll recommend some tactics and a bit of planning about how to tackle this adventure, being in the daytime and so forth. Now, the other part to it is if you arrive by ship, you've got to think about how your ship's going to be placed. So they drop you off and then sail away, so they're away from the fortress, because there's a fair chance that if you get them to anchor in the harbour, you may not actually have a ship to come back to. So, and it'll alert their presence to the Shargan. So in you go, and it's quite a sprawling dungeon, as you saw right at the start. It's got something like 50 or 60 rooms, and there are a lot of Shargan here, like a lot. For 6 to 8 characters, speed is your friend here. You need to get in, do as much reconnaissance, try to work out how many enemy there are, so forth, the new layout, so the planned alliance attack can be successful. You encounter some slaves. One of them's an interesting guy. This guy, Elmo, he's unfortunately deranged from his torture and experiences. He was with the previous band adventurers who just found the lair and were basically defeated. So you go through, and here's the larder, and in the larder, a dwarf and a human. They were both in the party. A giant octopus, 8 lizard men, and a Ixie Tixie Chittle. I don't even know how to pronounce that. And there's some skeletal remains of an elf and another human female, which have obviously been eaten. So the first level should be relatively straightforward. It's above the waterline. Now, when we played, we never found the secret room, so we never got to equip our party with these very useful items for this adventure, as in magical armour, a cloak of the manta ray, a spear, you got a luck blade with 3 wishes and a number of rings, 3 good ones, 1 bad one, and a spell book with some useful spells, i.e. water breathing. Yeah, so very useful, but in our case, didn't find it, bad luck. And here you have an adventurer who's found a loot. Yeah, look, and you progress through the level. You clear the first level, and then you go underwater, swimming, and if you're not stealthy, you get alerted. The battle rapidly goes against the PCs, to be quite honest. It really does. And there's like I said, there's a key, and we're already up to room 33. Nice bit of artwork here. There's some traps and other things along the way. Giant lobsters. And again, like the rest of the modules, the creature keys at the back. So, and the key jargon, the Baron and the priests and priestesses have a number of good items that make them hard to defeat. So you just got to sprinkle enough artwork through the module, which I think is good. Just intrigues your mind. Not that your players would see it, but yeah. Again, some very powerful magic items here, like this one here, crossbow of accuracy +3 with 12 +2 bolts. That's a pretty good bit of loot right there. Then you get down into level 3, and yeah, number of cells where they hold prisoners. You might be able to find some allies that'll help you. And a treasure chamber with, again, more good loot. But what are we up to now? 60 rooms. And again, there's barricades. And the whole time you're under here, you've got to remember if you're using potions of water breathing or spell water breathing, you're on the clock. You've got real pressure and time constraints. So, like I said, quick and quiet is the best way. More observation and less combat would be the key. Yep, you move into the appendix at the end, like 61 rooms. It's a lot. And then this was probably disappointing. The conclusion was, if the party don't meet the goals, basically they're rejected and expelled by the Council of Saltmarsh. If they do, they're welcomed as heroes. It's a very, very tough module. Here we go. You get a bit more detail on the plot. You get the possible associates of the player characters, so Oceanus, the pseudo-dragon, lizardmen officers, and the warriors, the town of Saltmarsh Marines, and then the crew of the ship that might take them to the journey. And then we get all the occupants of the fortress. And like I said, there's 219 warriors. I mean, wow. Plus elite guards, chieftains, senior chieftains, priestesses, high priestess, the baroness, and then the baron. Like, it's just way too much for a mid-level character party. And yeah, and here is, oh well, hopefully the successful party, abandoning, fleeing back to Saltmarsh with their loot. But yeah, and you get a key to new items, Rapture Weed, Wander the Squid, Lesser Staff of Shock, Greater Staff of Shock, and this, yeah. So some pretty cool items. These NPCs have just progressed through the adventure, U1, U2, they've just increased their levels. But you know, none of the magic users are 5th level, so they can't cast a 3rd level spell. Yeah, like it would be very, very difficult to use these PCs to get through. Incredibly difficult. You get an overview of the regional area. You get a closer overview of the how the lair looks, and here's a causeway. And then you get the lizard man impressions of what the lair used to look like. Upper level, middle level, lower level. So, and then you've got a party trying to fight underwater and fight sharks. So, again, this is a very hard module. So, but for a clever party and a mindful DM, it's probably worth giving it a go. So, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. I wish you all the best for the new year. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share your messages. Drop a comment below. That'd be fantastic. Have a great day.